Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. And today I would like to go over the XRP price chart. So, from where we last left off, we've been inside this consolidation for quite a long time. We've been looking at this thing, it's just been moving sideways. The top was here, that was your first leg down. And then you got a little round here. You thought that might have been your low too. For your second wave right here, that could have been your low too. And actually, we just ran that area right now. It looked like that was probably the higher high, so it made the low too. And XRP made this look like the low three. And, you know, I think all eyes were on this. It was a beautiful setup here. I mean, in my opinion, it still is. But of course it couldn't just break out, It had to come down and test this area. So we talked about it last time, and I know it's a little choppy with the audio. I do apologize for that. I'm trying to work on that. As far as what we saw last time uh, during the show was the liquidity walls that were in place for XRP. So for XRP, we got a move down. And where were all the retail stops clustered? Definitely here at 2.82, right around there. So retail stops are there, 2.82. And where's another area? 2.78, So we knew retail stops are definitely there under these lows. And we saw a big, thick liquidity band on the last video going across 2.8. It's a band, it's a range. So there's a bunch of resting orders there at 2.8. So what happened? They used this liquidity from these lows to come down here and pick up orders in this area, which I'm going to zoom in on. Um, Pick up orders down here in this area at the 2.8 band, and as far as the books, I was watching them, and they just keep refreshing orders at around 2.8. Um, and they did all this while keeping XRP within the structure limits. So this would have been your 1-1. This would have been your... Now this is your extended 2. This goes away. That was the trap. This is your extended 2. And then it's possible we do get some type of 3, and then we go. Um, I was actually planning to use this specific recent situation in a larger work that I'm writing, and I thought that, hey, why not we just talk about it right now, and I'll go ahead and drill down on the recent XRP price action, so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Um, my theory is based around a TVP or true value price, which I'm working on, formulating the theory concretely and making sure that it's good. Um, but as far as XRP, we'll go down to the 15-minute, and I'll kind of explain to you guys what's going on down here. Um, so I'm going to be using this example, but I just thought it's something I'd show you. So we know from the last video that there's a band of liquidity running at 2.8. There was major volume at that level, by the way, when we got this dip here and we got this dip here. Major, major volume. And that's confirmation, and I watched a lot of orders just get scooped up around this level. So this was the original band. Price did come down here, traded into it, and someone scooped up a bunch of longs right here, and you can see it. And these blue lines here are the TVPs, right? Considered true value price, but they show up on candlesticks charts as a flat bottom candle, uh, also known in my theory as a liquidity void, right? But I'm sure you guys have probably noticed that when you get some kind of ugly flat bottom candle, usually price tends to come back to that area and revisit it. Um, Mainly because the market is seeking efficiency, and these are like liquidity voids. So before the price moves away from an area like 2.8, you have TVPs. And these are areas where the candle is flat on the bottom, or it could be flat on the top. But these candles are flat on the bottom, and the market pressure was so heavy to the upside that there are unfilled orders still sitting on large players' order books for the 2.8 level. Um, so for the 2.8 level, obviously someone, a large player, we're watching them in real time, on the heat map, accumulate large amount of XRP buys at the 2.8 level. Then price recently made a move up here, which was great to see, a little bit of strength, much needed, to 2.86. But we could see that there were still these flat areas here around 2.8. And that left a liquidity void. And these areas tend to get revisited, and it's not 100%, doesn't happen every time. If there's a large breakaway move, these areas can get left. But even down to the 15-minute time frame, you can see that these flat candles, liquidity voids, or inefficiencies get filled by larger players moving the candlesticks. So how could we come all the way up here and already know that we had areas open down here? Now again, it's not an exempt. So in breakaway moves, some of these areas do get left. It's very rare, but they do. So just as an example, for this area, this is your 2.8 level of accumulation. We saw a large volume just slam the order book, pick up all the orders down here, and then you're getting these moves away. So you get one here in the yellow circle, and you see that flat bottom candle down there. That means that there's an imbalance and that price moved up too quickly. There's still orders sitting on the order book for large players. So we come up, come down, take out that area. Well, obviously we take it way out. This gets filled. Here's another yellow circle. That's another area. So you come up and price comes back down to fill this area. And why that helps us is on this most recent move, we had one here. Normally these areas, I mark them in light blue so that they're recognizable. But recently, this, if you guys can just see with your eyes, this area has wicks, wicks, wicks. This looks a little imbalanced right there, but still it does not qualify as a TVP because it's not flat completely. Orders got filled there. Here, orders got filled by that wick. And then you come up here, there's your flat bottom, right? And that was the price where price moved away from this area. Price moved away from this area. But this imbalance was still left there. So what happened? We came back down and we perfectly took these two levels out. And that to me tells me that because everything down here has all had its work done as far as liquidity, that this is now the new low. Now it is possible we get a move down, I'm not saying that, but this is a good chance for a low. You're seeing liquidity areas being filled, like these flat bottom candles here. It's not just random, is what I'm trying to say. You can see repeating patterns, and there's no flat candles here, but there's one right there. I marked it out in blue, and there's one right there. And they both just came down, got hit and grabbed right now from up at this high. And now I believe it is possible that we get our move up. We took all the retail stops down here and we saw them load into it with huge volume. And now, once all the work for the liquidity, there's no super thin areas, everything looks okay, then we have a high chance of getting some type of rebound up in here and then potentially actually breaking the structure of the upside. I know that's a far cry right now because we're leaning on the bottom of it. It looks extremely bearish, but it didn't completely fall out of the structure. This would be the new 2, and if we get a 3, we could still go. Now, if we run, it looks like they're defending this wall, but if we run 2.75, if we okay, there's a liquidity band sitting at 2.75, but if we run like 2.745, then I'm going to be extremely concerned. But as of right now, we're holding up great, getting absorption at these levels, creating a nice price action before we go ahead and move higher to the next level. That's my opinion. And on the Bitcoin dominance, we'll look at a couple other pairs. Ethereum's still in the show right now, guys. So it's Ethereum party. On the Bitcoin dominance, we had another one of these leaning grind lines, and it broke to the downside, and now we're getting a channel down. Um, I think if we go out, let's just say the 6 hour. If we go out to the 6 hour, I mean it's a range, It's a consolidation here. It may actually make a similar structure to XRP's structure. Sometimes they do, you know. That's a very common structure right now in the XRP market. You get your first wave, second wave. But either way, this looks heavy. Okay, this looks like your retest up. This looks heavy. If you start to run down at these lows, it's gonna be a breakdown. And looking at this, where could the breakdown happen? Let's say we do continue to break down. ETH flows are very strong right now. Say we do continue to trend down. That puts you on like the 2nd or 3rd of September, right? So extremely close. We're going to see if we get that Bitcoin dominance to drop on a light Bitcoin move. And potentially we could be right around the corner, and this is the shakeout before the breakout. Um, of course, if that doesn't materialize, this video is going to look very bad, but I'm saying that we have a potential that Bitcoin dominance breaks down, XRP bottoms here, cleans up some to-do work, and then runs and takes out the next level at 3.1. So that'll be the next level to watch, 3.1 for XRP. Ethereum just hanging high. So yeah, I'm super excited, guys. I know it's been rough and it's hard to really call anything right now, but you know, this this is still the ignition phase turning into the acceleration. This could be the beginning of the acceleration leg. If it's not, like I said on XRP, we come down and hit those levels I talked about, then it's time to reassess. But as of now, it was just accumulation at 2.8, perfectly in line with where retail stops are. They reloaded the wall, and now they're clearing some unfinished business before they go ahead and move higher. So that's going to be a piece in my larger work. But as far as Ethereum goes, we're still moving up. We're still moving higher. We got some, let's see, we got some movement up. I mean, we're stalling a little bit here, but I think we're almost we're staying within a structure. I mean, if I could explain Ethereum, it's kind of like we're doing the same type of accumulation schematic. So something like that and something like that. Pretty obvious, but we might have our breakout. Ethereum to me, once you run under these lows like 418, then I'm going to start to get worried. But as of right now, just floating up higher. So that's a big part of the Bitcoin dominance falling. But we're going to see, this is right in the crosshairs, and we're going to see if we could potentially get a move. So I'm super excited, hoping that this was the bottom, right? On XRP, if it goes down any further, it's just going to break completely down out of this fractal. But I believe we still have a chance right now. Looks sketchy as all heck, but we still have a chance to make a move up here. And that's the spring back that is a shock to everyone. And they say, how could this have happened? So we're going to see what happens, but I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and thank you.